What's up, guys? Once again, welcome back to my channel. And in today's video I want to teach you guys how to change animal fat to oil. I want to teach you how it is done. It is actually called fat rendering. You know, the oil used in making soap is actually very expensive, but if you know how to use animal fat and change it to oil, you will produce your soap and make a lot of profits. Reason because animal fat is not actually expensive. If you go to the butcher to purchase it, you can pick it at a good price, bring it back, change it to oil, use that same oil to make your soap. This is a very lucrative business for those that are into soap making. Don't forget, the purpose of this video is to teach you how to change fats gotten from animals to oil. Right now in the market, oil is actually very expensive. So learning this skill will help you get a good source of oil that is cheap, which you can use it to make your soap so that you can make profit during soap making. You can use any animal's fat. You can use cow's fat, or you can use fat gotten from cow. You can use fat gotten from pigs. You can use fat gotten from any animal. So when I got to the slaughter, the type of fat they had there was goat fat gotten from goat. So if you find any from cow, from pigs, or from goats, any of those fats, you can purchase them, bring them back to the house to make or to change it to oil. The very first thing you want to be doing after you've purchased your fat is to rinse it. You want to rinse it and take off most of the dirt from it. You want to at least make it a bit clean. You won't be able to take out all of the dirt, but at least just to remove most of it, to clean it. Then you put it into your cooking pot and start the process. The next step is to blend this fat. You want to blend it into smaller or tiny pieces, but you cannot blend this fat like this in this state. It is very hard. This is very hard. If you try to blend it like this, it will end up spoiling your blender or anything you want to use to blend it. The first thing we want to do is what we'll have to do is to heat it on fire. We'll put it on fire and heat it up or steam it for at least 10 minutes. Now this process will make the fat a bit soft, so that when we put it in our blender or anything we want to use in blending it, it will easily blend. It's going to blend. So don't forget, we want this fat to be a bit soft, and how to achieve that is to first of all steam it on fire for at least 10 minutes. After we have gotten to 10 minutes of steaming this fat, we will now start scooping out the fat into a blender to blend it. You can see that is my meat blender or meat mincer. You can use any blender or use a meat mincer for this job. You first of all steam your fat for at least 10 minutes, then turn off the stove. Then you will now start scooping the fat into your blender. At this point now, your fat is a bit soft. You start scooping it into your blender to blend it. That is the next step. We want to blend this fat, but first of all we had to heat it on fire to make sure the fat is a bit soft so that the blender can blend it. You cannot blend it when it is hard. It will end up spoiling your blender, so you have to soften it a bit. 10 minutes of steaming is enough to soften it. The purpose of blending your fat is that it will enable you have a lot of oil. You can get a lot of oil from that particular fat you blended. If you don't blend it, you actually have oil, but you will not have a lot of oil. Blending it gives you an advantage. It helps you make sure that you have extracted a lot of oil from the fat. So once you blend it like this and you cook it again on fire, you will have a lot of oil from it. It helps you have a lot of oil when you blend it. You can either blend it or use a knife and cut it into smaller chunks. If you don't have a blender, then you use a knife. After you've steamed it, use a knife and cut it into smaller chunks very tiny chunks. Then you now cook it again. You will have a lot of oil from the fat. Now you see that water in that pot. Don't dispose of that water. Keep it aside. Oil will come out of this fat in that water. Once the fat solidify in the water, scoop out the fat and then throw away the water. That's the water in this pot. Don't throw it away. Keep it aside and allow the fat to solidify. Once it solidifies, remove the fat out. Once it solidifies, remove that part that has solidified out, and that is your oil. Then dispose of the water. If you use this method, you have a lot of oil. So don't forget, the aim is to make sure you have gotten a lot of oil, to use that oil to make your soap so that you can make a lot of profits. Since oil now is very expensive in the market, this method or this way will help you have a lot of oil. So now that is the blended fat. We are going to cook it again for another 30 minutes. So now this is where we are going to have the oil. We'll cook this till the water evaporates. We want the water to evaporate. While the water is evaporating, the fat will be melting to oil. Don't forget, what is happening now is that we are going to cook it again. This time I'm using my electric stove. You can use any heat source. You can use your gas stove, kerosene stove. If you have an electric stove also, you can use it. The fat is melting. The water that was in it is evaporating, and that fat is melting to oil. That's what is happening. We will allow this to cool down for 30 minutes. Reason because if you pour this into your net filter immediately, when you are done cooking it to change it to oil, the heat is going to it's going to damage or spoil your net filter. It will tear it. So you keep it to cool down for at least 30 minutes before filtering it. Now you are filtering it for the oil to pass and the meat particles to remain. So watch out for my next videos. I'll be teaching you how I use this fat oil to make soap. Just in case you don't know how to use fat oil to make soap, watch out for my coming videos. I'll use this oil, this fat oil, and I will teach you how to use it to make soap. If you want to also learn more on how to use fat oil in making soap, you can join my online class. I run online classes. You can join my online class to learn how to use fat oil in making soap. So you can see this is the oil we have gotten from the process. This is the oil we've gotten. I had to cover it because if you leave it open, it has a way of attracting flies. You don't want flies dying inside your oil. So once you are done, you cover it. One thing about fat is that when it stays for long, it solidifies. But that is not a problem. Once it solidifies and you want to use it to make your soap, you just melt it on fire, so it to turn to oil again, and use it to make your soap. This is the remaining oil. Don't forget, fat has a way of solidifying. If it solidifies, you still melt it, use it to make your soap. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like this video, don't forget to share, and don't forget to join my online class. See you guys next time. Goodbye.